Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Zach with Money Pit RC. In today's video, I am going to show you the best SCX24 shocks that money can buy. So before everybody starts saying, oh, these are the best, these are the best, this is the best in my opinion. And for the price point, I really don't think you can beat it. So there are a ton of different options for shocks for an SCX24. You can have just regular friction dampener shocks, you can have oil-filled shocks, you can have shocks with no springs, you can have internal sprung shocks. There's so many options. So you will just have to figure out what kind of shocks you need for your build. But for this build that I'm putting these on, it is a more performance-based build. The shocks that we're talking about are these Injora 40mm big bore oil-filled shocks. So these are not the biggest shocks you can get. They're also not the smallest shocks you can get. For a performance-based build, or even for like a real scale build, the oil-filled shocks are probably your best bet. I highly recommend the oil-filled shocks just because you can get the realism as it's driving over obstacles and all that. It doesn't have just the springy, bouncy look from just like normal friction shocks. So we're gonna get these opened out of the bag, see what they come with. I'm gonna show you a little downfall, and then we're gonna get them installed on a car. So here is the shock themselves. They are a beautiful black and silver, all aluminum capped, basically all aluminum besides the bottom where the pivot ball goes through. That is plastic. So other than that, they are full aluminum, but you have to follow the instructions because they don't come with oil in them. So you're gonna have to take them apart, put a little bit of oil in them, but that's no big deal because I'm gonna show you how. So I'm gonna show you how to put oil in this. There's probably a million different types of videos and stuff like this, but I'm just gonna show you quick as I drop that bottle. So this is 5 weight, very thin stuff. The vehicle that I'm put this on is not that heavy, so you really don't need thick oil. So all you do is you pull the spring down a little bit, hold the threaded part, and you'll spin off this top. So as you can see, probably can't even see, but there's no oil in it. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna put 2, maybe 3 drops. So I put 2 in, I spilled a drop, so that's fine. So clean that off. Okay, so what you're gonna do now is you're just gonna compress the spring. Just get that oil working through that inside seal. So you don't want to overfill the shock. If you overfill the shock, it's not going to want to compress and you're just going to have a stiff ride. So what you're doing is you're just going to screw that top part back on. Make sure it's nice and tight. Don't over tighten it. And that is how you put oil in a shock. Nice rebound. You see that? That's what you want. You don't want to force. If you get it to where you can barely push this in, that means you put too much oil in. Drain a little bit out, and you should be good to go. So do that to all your shocks as soon as you get them out of the bag because they don't come with oil. So once you get them all filled with oil, you're going to set them aside. Hopefully they don't roll away. You're going to open this bag of goodies. So it comes with a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff you won't use. First thing you're not going to use is all these springs, because I feel like the ones that are on it now are already the softest, and you're going to want that. You don't want this thing sitting high like a monster truck. So these springs just sit aside. If you have a heavy rig, you can put those on. So you're going to see with these pivot balls, you're going to have some with the long pivot balls, and then you're going to have small pivot balls. So depending on the axle and all that, you're going to want to make sure that you install these shocks straight up and down, just so you don't have any binding issues. Let's say your chassis is really wide, so your shock kind of sits like this. It's not going to want to compress and move freely because you're trying to bind it. So typically, we're just going to say this is a stock SCX24. You're going to want to take the long ones, and these are going to be on the top. And just because I like the look, you're going to stick it through the end that has the Injora. because that's the part you're gonna see, which you don't have to, but I like to. So once that's through, you're gonna put another rubber washer on the extended end. So the top of the shock is gonna look like that. So the bottom end, you're just gonna use the regular pivot balls, which these do not have washers, the rubber washers. So you're just gonna pop that through. Typically you can just use your fingers, and ta-da. Ta-da, you have a complete shock ready to be installed. So you're going to do this on all 4 of them. Make sure they're all set up the same. So once you get all 4 of them done, you're going to see you have a whole bunch of different like washers, like silver washers like this. These are for, just like I said before, if you have a wider chassis and you just need to space out the top of the shocks or even the bottom of the shocks on the axles, just so they sit perpendicular straight up and down, so you don't have any binding issues. And then obviously it comes with the hardware to install the shocks, which is always nice to have extras of, and that's pretty much it. So we're gonna get these installed on a rig, and I'm gonna show you the difference between these and friction shocks and so on, so on. All right, so we installed them on our FJ build. Like I said, this is not a heavy build. Pretty much everything is 3D printed, frame, sliders, yada yada yada. So we got them installed in all 4 corners. As you can see, they are nice, straight up and down. We did use the spacer on the top, how it comes, and then nothing on the bottom. So nice, sliding movements, no binding, no issues. So I'm gonna show you why these are superior compared to other shocks. All right, so here's the car. I have it up in the air. Nice movement, nice and plush. Very nice and free. Look at that rebound. Not bouncy. So now I'm going to show you. These are 58mm-ish shocks. These are shocks that are oil shocks, but they have no oil in it. See that? Bouncy. Not bounce. Other friction shocks. Bouncy. A lot of people don't really care about that, but I do. I don't like the bounce. Like I said, all this varies on your size of your body and the weight of the car itself, but these are beautiful. These are bouncy. So I'm going to do a couple runs on the crawler tracks just to show you guys how good and smooth these shocks are. Here we got the frame bender. We're going to do a couple runs with the body on. Then I'm going to show you with the body off, especially on the wave, because that really shows how these shocks work. Notice how there is no bounce. We got the wave, and I took the body off. Pay attention to these shocks. Look at that moveness. Super styled. Beautiful. I like the wave so much, we're going to do it with the body on. So I just wanted to share this video with you guys. This is my personal preference on the best SCX24 shocks that you can get for a good price point. Right now they're about $17.99 on the Injora's website. It does take a little bit to get here from China, but it saves you a couple bucks if you don't actually buy it from Amazon. So I'll leave a link in the description box below where you can get the pair of shocks at. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. You know I enjoy reading through all your feedback. I'll catch you guys in the next video.